Hello, this is Ben Payton, and you are listening to The Bill Podcast. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, McGoldrickWatchRepairs.com, and Misty Moon Events. For over 60 hours of exclusive The Bill-related content, including reunion highlights, cast and crew commentaries, reaction videos, pilgrimage location videos, off-the-beat bonus podcasts, and much more. Join the investigation from £2.49 a month at patreon.com/The Bill Podcast.
It was always a giggle with Simon. Well, Simon is a wonderful actor. Wonderful.
Yes, he is.
Really, really brilliant actor. And it's absolutely perfect that he had the last words of the last episode.
His guest performance in Doctor Who is generally regarded as the greatest performance in Doctor Who of any.
And who was the Doctor?
Peter Davison. And
yes.
He plays he's on a colony and he goes insane. And it's hugely celebrated. I mean, Peter Davison himself said later, he went, I remember going into rehearsals and doing a scene with him and thinking, oh my God, he's a real actor. Because he just went for it.
Yeah.
And
I want to see it. I need to see it then.
I'll have to, well, I'll get you. It's, yeah, he's magnificent in it.
Okay.
And by pure coincidence, Jeff Stewart is in the same episode.
Is in the same one.
Graham Cole is in the same one as an extra in that one. But yeah,
but I last saw Jeff in 2016, and we bumped into each other, having just seen the David Bowie Lazarus musical at the Pop-Up Theatre in King's Cross.
Wow!
We'd just been to see it with Michael C. Hall.
Cool.
Who was in Dexter. Michael C. Hall. Because it's a continuation of the Man Who Fell to Earth story that Bowie had written before he died, and it was on in New York, and then we saw it in King's Cross, and that's where I last saw Jeff.
Oh wow!
With big hair and beard.
Yeah.
And I'd just been that year. I lost my father that year, and but in that same year, I went to Berlin to go over and see Iggy Pop. Because it broke my heart when David Bowie died. I was absolutely, I couldn't leave the house for 2 days. I was so upset. And because he was such an important part. He was really responsible for me to break out of sort of Littlehampton and go and just explore and want to mix with people from all sorts of, backgrounds and, you know what I mean? Come up to London and become an actor and the music and all of that. And so I went to Berlin in May 16, because where Bowie lived in the 70s with Iggy Pop when he did Heroes and the 2 Iggy albums and stuff. And we went over and saw Iggy. But we had a great time. I went with a good friend of mine. We went for 4 days and we went to the opera for €30 to see the Magic Flute for €30. We saw Hertha Berlin play Darmstadt at the infamous Olympic Stadium where Jesse Owens shattered the Nazi dream because they didn't want any black athletes or Jewish, and they just brought in one German Jewish guy because all of the other nations said we're not going to come if it's going. Can you imagine 1930?
Yeah.
And we went, and Berlin is an incredible place, fantastic time, really good place, and really comfortable with its past.
Yes,
identity and where it sits in history and the infamy of what the terrible things that happened. And the German people are so amazing. I was sort of thinking that the Bill used to go out in Germany, didn't it? Or didn't they do their own version of it or something?
Yeah, it was a spin-off called Socko Leipzig, which
that's right. Yeah,
Simon Rouse did he actually, after the Bill finished.
Yes.
They brought him in, retired Jack Meadows, so he has a distinction of being the only person to play the same character after.
Yeah. Sometimes we couldn't work because he'd be laughing so hard.
Wow.
And with me as well. And there would always be a twinkle in his eye and something because you're tired. That's the thing, and you're tired, and you're working hard, and you've got a lot of stuff, a lot of line retention, and lots of episodes and early starts. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm really grateful for it. It was fantastic to do that, and we had to make choices and things and speeches and this and names, dates, and places, and make it believable and relaxed but important enough, and you know what I mean, and professional defamation of a policeman and all that stuff. So it's appropriate because I'm sure they're just as knackered, probably more so, with more at stake. And the directors were very accommodating with it because they knew it, and everyone's under pressure. But sometimes you fall apart, The absurdity of the whole circumstance of what you're doing, would kick in. And that's what it used to really annoy me when people referred to, well, maybe more so now because of how it became, would call the bill a soap. It wasn't.
Yeah,
no way was it.
No way.
It might have turned into that kind of format. I mean, I remember there was a time, and this is when I kind of not fell out of love with it, but I just thought I don't need to watch it. I just remember an episode when I saw Todd Carty, who I remember as Tucker, of course, because he just joined secondary school as I was preparing to go to secondary school in Grange Hill. But I saw an episode where a young WPC and a young PC were about to snog in front of Sun Hill, I think. And Todd Carty's on the roof of the building opposite with a gun.
Yeah, that's right.
With a sniper's rifle.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, what is this?
Yeah.
Is this the bill? Of course it's the bill. And there are loads of people who love it for that and the things it turned into. But I just thought that's not what I signed up for. That wasn't it. Just and Todd Carty's a very good actor. Yes, I'm sure they're all doing it really well, but it just seemed that the storylines just got absolutely crazy.
Oh, and it wasn't Jeff McQueen's vision of the bill,
No, I'm sure it wasn't.
No.
You refer to that as an. Am I speaking out of turn? It's thing.
No.
The thing is, with this podcast, speaking to you, I just want to be honest. I've got nothing. There's no. I'm really honest about what I think about it, and that's the first time. Just going back to my leading episode, that I've shared with anybody how I really felt, because I did. And so I felt very emotional, and I felt really connected. I loved that show. I loved what it gave me. I loved the actors that I worked with. I loved so many of the directors and the privilege to work with so many of the guests coming in. And I just thought, when I saw that episode, I just thought, how dare you, whoever you are, to make a decision where you're turning it into this?
Yes.
What is it? It's not Emmerdale. It's not.
No.
What we're going to have.
I mean, when you look at, I've recently been sort of interviewing some of the writers for like Candy Denman and Paul Finch, like the guys who were writing in the late 90s. These really solid hour-long episodes. There's one where Joy Brooke does an undercover one in prison, and it's basically before Bad Girls,
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did they change it? It was working, and it was still in 1999 pulling in over 10 million viewers, which then was still massive. I don't know what your memories are of this.
It was my finest moment. That's amazing. Look at those balloons, Mike.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I mean, was it life imitating art or what have you, that expression? But you've got that sort of, with between Deacon and Meadows, going over to France to do that case. Billy Murray. He was, he wanted to be Twanky.
Yeah.
He wanted to be the first Twanky, the Twanky in the show. Well, how did I end up there? I was blackmailed into that by Kevin.
That's right.
And we shot that down in Portsmouth at a lovely Edwardian theatre in Portsmouth. No, I had a ball doing that. I mean, that's okay. That's all right.
And that's a Christmas special, and it's
of course, and the thing is, I was very, very really chuffed that, I don't know, for 3 years on the trot or something, I featured one of the main thing in A Christmas Story. And the year before, I think I couldn't get out of, I was locked inside because I had booze, or I was trying to nick booze.
Smuggling in booze, and the DAC's walking around like.
Yeah. But Twanky, no, I'm really proud of Twanky.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of Twanky. Twanky was such good fun. I just remember I was really pleased with my entrance on stage on the little scooter.
Yeah.
My arms up or something like that, wasn't it? And I just looked, the thing about what I looked like, I looked so grotesque. It really reminded me of, I don't know if you remember specifics from Monty Python. But in the Now for Something Completely Different film, there's a little sequence where the camera is going through the woods and you see all these girls in bikinis and the voiceover's going, oh, yeah, ooh, and they move along. And then it's John Cleese in a bikini and he goes, and now for something completely different. And I just think I look like wrong. I look so wrong. And so just, it's perfect. It was a perfect moment. Yeah, and I really liked that episode. It was good fun.
I thought you smashed the comedy. There's an episode called Public Relations where, like, when I was going through the box set recently, and the synopsis starts with Hollis and Skase. I thought, say no more. That sounds like a bloody good episode to me. And it was called Public Relations, where Jeff takes a reporter around in the first half, and then Rod has her in the second half.
Oh wow! Okay.
You and Libby are taking this reporter to up to a front door, and you say, "Look, you want to just stay behind me, okay, in case anything kicks off." And Libby's like, "We wouldn't have brought you if this guy was dangerous, you know." And it's like, no, but you can never be too careful. And Rod's just like, he's playing it all up, for his reporter.
Okay. I mean, forgive me for I. It's kind of ringing, what did I do? About 270 episodes or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want to see them now. I haven't, I've got a few, but there are ones that I just want to see the joy of just those things and everything in between, the takes and stuff. And there is an episode that I really want to. There's an episode that I did with Mark Wingert, right, where we are acting with this actor who used to be in Desmond's, black actor,
right.
English guy, London guy who. We did an episode with where he has a cab office, so he's got a cab business company, and Mark and I investigating. It turns out that he's doing seances or something, or he's pretending to be a medium or something like that. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, that does ring a bell.
And the actor, I just remember he was in Desmond's because he knew, because I remember him talking to us about knowing Lisa Geergan, because she was in Desmond's, wasn't she? She was in Desmond's, that's right. And and Mark, and him and Mark knowing each other because from the Quadrophenia days, and he might have been in Quadrophenia and all of that, and there was all that connection. I loved it. I just remember sitting there listening to Mark and him talk. We had such a laugh, and that was a real kind of nice little comedy one. And I'd love to see that. Yeah, I did. I mean, I loved it, but I just think I could have maybe, I wanted to go somewhere else with it. That was the thing. I suppose it was always going to be the way. And I don't know. I mean, I think maybe I was thinking perhaps my days will be numbered anyway, and I want to leave it rather than sort of have it decided for me. Because not long after me was, and I think Billy Murray's episode where 3 people went at the same time as him, and it was his episode, leading episode. I think Russell did, and so did Ray in the same episode.
Ray, Sean, and Joy all left in the same ep. Russell went.
Ray, Sean, and Joy all went in the same net. Yeah. And I'm glad that I was able to make that.
And Peter Ellis as well.
And Peter Ellis, yeah.
And that episode was written by Peter Ellis's son, who found out before Peter Ellis did.
I remember. You bring it back. Oh my God, goodness, you've got a lot of information there.
It's all, I just love it. And I love celebrating you all. And so when the cast, when people haven't been sort of treated with the respect they deserve, the fan base still feels that, these characters who didn't get exit storylines. So at least you got a bloody good one, and one of the most powerful
absolutely
ones.
I'm really grateful for that. I mean, if I watch it back now, there are things that I would do differently, choices and things. And that year, the year leader, I think after coming, it was when I was out in Australia, I decided I needed to move on. I came back and I did a few episodes where I felt really low. Alex came in, lovely Alex, and Renee came in at the same time. Not long after, Matt Compton came in, and he wasn't really written for that much. As was Lolita, wasn't really written for that. Couldn't have gone, But I just felt a couple of times I couldn't join in with the cast. I don't know what it was. There was something. And when I say join in, I didn't feel happy. I felt unhappy. I felt I needed to take a proper break from it and then come back. Perhaps that's what I should have done. benefit of hindsight. But, you know, I felt low, and I just kept thinking, this is because maybe you don't want to be here anymore. I felt vulnerable, and I didn't feel confident in my delivery of things in certain episodes, certain scenes, and felt I didn't fit in anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. And I suppose that episode, that's why I did feel very, I found it quite an upsetting experience. Fulfilling, but, you know, I did find it genuinely upsetting. And,
could that have,
you know,
perhaps helped enhance your performance if that was a way? Because,
sure, yeah.
Rod was always out there on his own limb, wasn't he? You know, and
there were those episodes, the ones where the two boys that I had to show for a round and stuff, and I was wanting to try and look at other ways of earning money. I mean, it was kind of, in a way, I guess, a good sort of mirroring of where I was as an actor at that time. You know, but I don't know if was it me wanting more? Did I have delusions of grandeur? Did I expect to be? Did I think that I'd get offered something else in some other thing? I don't know. I really don't know, and because I don't think I really handled my route as an actor. I never really handled it. I kind of just relied on other people, and that's a mistake. I think now, I mean, the thing is, with my colleagues in the play, you know, they're doing lots of Instagram and tweeting, and I don't do any of that. I don't do any of that. So, you know, with this whole new way of promoting yourself and this, that, and the other, you know, and I was thinking, when I spoke to Greg and I said, I'd really love to come on with you, Greg, you know, just to keep company, and, you know, because I feel a bit nervous about doing it. Plus the fact that I think it'd be very entertaining because we do work very well together. But and a real laugh. And Greg said to me, "No, I'm not going on with you because you'll just take it all over."
It's really interesting to hear your sort of thoughts on it now, because, you know, as I say, Skase is quite rightly celebrated so fondly within the fan base, which I hope pleases you all these years on. But he's still...
Yeah, no, it really does. It really does, because back in the day, there were a few sites dedicated to Rod. There was one called Lost in Skase. There was one called the Skase Cadets. And then Mark showed me, I forget who showed me, but it was just somebody who was talking to me the other day about, what's the term for it? It's called erotic. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah. Okay. And okay, how can I don't know, it's just, there was a site where somebody would would come up with like treatments for fantasy Bill episodes. Come on, help me out here. You know where this is going? Where this is going? No, but they would have, so for example, you know, the synopsis would be, and you get a bit of dialogue written into it.
Oh, I see, right. Like fan fiction. Fan
fiction, right? Yeah. Erotic fiction. And there was one, but this one was, you know, it was like, this is interesting. I can sort of go with that. It's fine. I'm just talking to Greg about it. For example, no, this one actually featured me, Greg, and Mark Winger, right? So Skase, Proctor, and Carver, where we were at home together because we obviously all lived in the same flat. And there's a problem with the heater or something. And when Carver reaches across to get the adjustable spanner, his eyes meet with Rod, and then leave the rest of your imagination. But I mean, I'm flattered. I'm flattered that the three of us, you know. Then in walks Greg and catches us, tightening the nuts or whatever. You know, I don't know, but it's like, that kind of stuff. I mean, it was, plus with these other sites and stuff, and but I'm grateful for it. I'm really glad that I made an impact, in whichever way, shape, or form, people, because it really meant a lot. It really did, and me leaving it wasn't an easy decision at all, not at all. And I'm still really good friends with Simon, Greg, as I say, Mark. Yeah, I haven't seen Mark for a while, but he's always there for me if I need to talk to him or want to see him, go fishing with him, go out in the channel. He's got his boat. And Libby, when I was doing Oliver a few years ago, I was up in Newcastle, and I have to say Newcastle, rather Newcastle. I stayed with Libby, Libby Davis up in Newcastle, yeah, and I'm still in touch with my Marquette, Russell, who's in Bristol, and Ray in Sheffield. I'll probably go up and see him after the play, spend a bit of time with him up there. And Kerry,
Yeah.
I love
such a
fantastic.
Oh, she's wonderful. I mean, but it's such a strong lineup of actors all at the top of their game at that time, isn't it? You guys all
absolutely. Everyone getting their equal share of leading episodes and a good regular supporting cast, and all really supportive of each other and helpful and kind. And Kevin gave me so many good bits of advice and tips and stuff, and he said, believe me, it never, you still get days where you can't face the camera and stuff. And Simon was really we really connected. And Tom Kotcher was so kind to me in the early days down in Brighton. He used to drive me up and down, and we taught him. He was a good guy with his wife Cookie and Andrew McIntosh, and it's really sweet. It was a lovely time, really lovely time. I'm really grateful for it.
What about the future? What's in this game, which is so tough? Can you still have a little wish list of shows you'd like to do, or people you'd like to work with, or are you approaching things differently now?
I don't have a wish list for anything. The future starts when I take my dog collar off on Sunday the 31st. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, I do want to retrain as a therapist. I don't know where I sit in really what could be on offer or what I might be seen for and stuff. And I don't know if I think I've been out of the game for a little bit too long. I don't know. I really don't know. As I've said, I keep the faith in it. I have to keep the faith in the work and what I'm able to do. I think I'm really much more realistic as to how I could be cast, which helps. And the sort of thing I could be cast in, I don't know. I don't really know. There is so much more television and film-like television now, of course. Production values are so much higher, and it's so, whether it's Netflix or Amazon or, the other production houses, things. I'd like to be involved in. So I'm enjoying the theatre side of things. I mean, I've done my fair share. I did Mamma Mia for a couple of years in town. That was great fun. And Oliver, Cameron McIntosh and all that, playing Bill Sykes. And Bill, I was thinking, could there be another job that I could be involved in that's got the name Bill? To make it if I'm looking out for anything. But I don't know, in honesty. I really don't know. Somebody said to me, are you worried about being typecast? I said, what do you mean? We're playing cops. I said, no, I don't mind about that. If I was to always... Clint Eastwood was quite happy to play lots of cop films, isn't he? It's all right. I don't mind. I mean, it's interesting. My friend Paul Putner, Little Britain, my friend from Chichester days, and he said during the lockdown he decided to, because he wanted to know what it was all about, Line of Duty, right? Yeah. And he said, I watched the first series, and he said, yeah, it's good stuff. It's great. He said, but it's the Bill. He said, the Bill's already done it.
Yeah.
And it might have been the difference is it's post Watershed and it's longer. So it makes it seem more important and more risky or whatever. He said it's not doing anything that the Bill didn't already do. And it's got higher production values or whatever the term is, it's got more money and stuff. And it's kind of, it's packaged, maybe in more, now these days a bit more sophisticated way or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Maybe because the bill did go out at 8:00. Maybe people did think, yes, it's a soap. Who never watched it, and then maybe if they did dip into it in the later years, they thought, yes, it's a soap. But I'm really, I would certainly be, would be very happy to be involved in the like. But there isn't really another. If the bill happened again, I would. I don't know if Skase could be, but that's the thing. I mean, what happened in that story? What happens later?
Yeah.
Because Simon Rouse says to me, he said, I'll make sure that the book is thrown at you, or whatever he says, doesn't he? When he's standing with the light on the thing, the rain.
The river. Oh.
Yeah. I can't just walk off and nothing happened.
No.
I managed to. What happened to Skase? Did he end up kind of moving to somewhere and getting involved in crime or something, or becoming something else, or did he kill himself? Does he turn to booze? I don't know. There's something else, isn't there? Something else. All of those characters. What happens to those people? the life after that, and where do they go? It's interesting that, I wonder how the bill could be now, or if it started again, people's attitude, or how it could be written when you have these awful, when we've just had this terrible, terrible occurrence, with Sarah Everard. People's attitude towards, because what I loved about when I was doing the bill is that every policeman I ever met was so kind and so impressed with it, and they said, apart from the language, but we understand that because it's, he said, it's just like that, and you're just like that, and you're just like this, isn't he? Just like me, so, and it's like, I was thinking, that is the biggest compliment.
Oh yeah,
because we had good, decent, forget their names, two guys as police advisors at the time.
Yeah, Trevor Hermes, that's right.
Yeah.
And Brian Hart.
Brian Hart, Trevor Hermes. Yeah, it was good. This is the first time for really for 20 years I've really talked about it in kind of depth. The weirdest thing, what really got me, when I got out to Australia to do this play, I switched on the TV and on ABC, and the bill was on, and I was on it, and I was still, I couldn't sleep, because of the turnaround in the time and everything. And watching the episode, there was no commercial break, and it was amazing. It was really fantastic to not have a commercial break in it, and just see it as a block, of the whole 26 minutes or whatever a commercial half hour would be. But and then people knowing me over in Australia, and it was only in Australia that any time has anyone just said to me, "You're Iain Fletcher, aren't you?"
Yeah,
and
respect.
Yeah, I am. And it's like, rather than just saying, "Oh, it's Skase." All right, And
they're lovely, the Australian fans, aren't they?
They're really
so
lovely,
knowledgeable and respectful.
Yeah, that's why I went out there to do the play. Anyway, my dear, I better go. Sorry.
No, I love that. Thank you.
I'm really glad that we've met. Thank you.
Me too.
Thanks, mate. Lots of love to you. All the best.
Hello, this is Ben Payton, and you have been listening to the Bill Podcast, produced and presented by Oliver Crocker, with special thanks to Iain Fletcher. Co-produced by Ben Adams, Sarah Kuiper, Malcolm McLeod, Alex Mockler, Laura Pinney-Fay, and Simon Wolfe. Executive produced by Ben Ashmore, Daniel Christopher, Alana Dewar, Andrew Dyack, Paul Dunn, Dan Evans, George Fairbrother, Luke Hegarty, Edward Kellett, James Ledane, Simon McGoldrick, Lucy McNeil, Gary Moncur, Stuart and Jen Morris, Claire Norbury, Justin Pitt, Tom Sherrington, Angel Stannard, Patrick Stratford, Michael Weil and Sarah Wendt. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, McGoldrickWatchRepairs.com and Misty Moon Events. For over 60 hours of exclusive The Bill-related content, including reunion highlights, reaction videos, cast and crew commentaries, pilgrimage location videos, off-the-beat bonus podcasts, and much more, join the investigation from £2.49 a month at patreon.com/The Bill Podcast.